2 days away for the big matchup under the lights at Lincoln Financial Field, an 8 p.m. start, and coverage right here on Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP, begins at 7:30. It's the #9 ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame going up against your undefeated 21st ranked Temple Owls. And now joining us on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by our friends at Peerless Boilers, Peerless Builds America's Best Boilers, is the defensive coordinator of your Temple Owls, and that's Phil Snow. Coach Snow, thanks for a few minutes. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing great, and we're getting excited for this big matchup up against Notre Dame. But 2 years ago, Matt Rhule started his career as the Temple University football head coach, and they went up against Notre Dame. Does that past at all help you and your players so you don't get caught up in the hoopla of going up against Notre Dame and get off to a good start early in this football game?
Well, not really. That was a long time ago, and these guys were young, and we've played a lot of big games since that time and ranked teams. So, every game it helps you if you grow as a football player. But that's been a long time ago. So, this is a process. We're just worried about ourselves, and Notre Dame happens to be the next opponent.
Last week when you went up against ECU and your defense came to play and made big plays late in that football game, I know the first half wasn't probably the way you guys wanted it to go. You gave the wide receivers a little bit of space. Will Fuller is one of the best wide receivers in the country now this week for Notre Dame. What's the approach for the defensive backs going up against Fuller and the rest of this Notre Dame wide receiving core?
Well, the best pass defense is the pass rush. So, their offensive line is really good. So that's a big concern in the ball game is being able to get to the quarterback. You either got to affect the quarterback by disguise or hit them. And if you don't do that, I don't care who you play, you're going to struggle playing pass defense. So I don't think it really, the DBs and linebackers have a little bit to do with it, but so does the pass rush.
We're talking to the defensive coordinator for the Temple Owls, Phil Snow. And Phil, Tyler Medikevich, one of your star linebackers, was quoted as saying after the Penn State game that you guys would allow 2 scores against you, and that's exactly what happened. Any bold predictions for this game against Notre Dame?
No. In that ball game, I had a little feeling about what would start early and because of who we were and who they were. So it happened, but that doesn't happen very often. But no, we just got to get ready to play, and we try not to worry about who the opponent is. We try to worry about who we are and play the best we can. So that's been the issue and focus this week.
Now, you guys run a 4-3 defense. Notre Dame runs a 3-4 defense. What are you guys doing in practice so that P.J. Walker and company are seeing that kind of set in a 3-4 defense and so that they can game plan against it?
Well, we have a 3-4 package, too, that we run quite a bit. I mean, last week we ran 25 snaps of a 3-4 on defense. So, our kid, we give them a pretty good look every week because we have a package that matches most people's 3-man package. So, that's an issue that, a lot of people are, football's a evolving game, and right now the 50 front is what people are trending to do. So, we've run into that problem every week.
I know Matt talked about it 2 weeks ago, and when the sack numbers weren't necessarily there with the hot start that you got off to against Penn State, that it's really sometimes have to look over those numbers and just see how many seconds it takes to get to the quarterback. And your defensive line has been motoring all year. Just how much of a big role does Matt Ioannidis play in that success? And I feel like he's starting to get a lot of that credit now nationally for the player that he is for Temple.
Yeah, Matt does a great job inside of pushing the pocket, but we have a lot of guys that can rush the passer. I'll give you an example. UCF, I think we had 1 sack in that football game, and we hit the quarterback 23 times. So it's hitting the quarterback. We talk about putting pressure on the quarterback and affecting how he throws the football, moving him in the pocket. That can be a lot more important than sacks at times. Sacks pushes him back and kills drives. But hitting the quarterback really affects him and how he operates. So the sacks will come. Last week we had 6, and the week before 1. So, but we are hitting the quarterback, and that's going to be a big issue in this ball game. The Notre Dame's offensive line is as good as it gets. So that's a big issue in this ball game.
We're spending a few minutes with the defensive coordinator of your Temple Owls, and that is Phil Snow, in the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by Peerless Boilers, Peerless Builds America's Best Boilers. The identity of this defense, the one constant theme is each and every week they produce at least one turnover. And whenever you're sitting there and the game is close, you know the turnover is coming. How does your defense each week consistently produce these turnovers?
Well, we've been preaching that. Our first year here, we had to teach other things than turnovers, like, example, tackling, leverage. But after the first year, we really stressed turnovers. And last year, I think we're 11th in the country. So it's something that we practice. We do try to do every snap. And really disappointing this year, we haven't had as many fumble recoveries as we had a year ago. We're intercepting the ball more, but we're not stripping the ball as much. So, it's something that we're always working on.
And Tyler Medikevich is one of those all-time great Temple University defensive players, has 420 tackles in his career, and that number is going to increase continuing throughout this season. And he also always finds a way to make one of those big plays or force those turnovers, like we're talking about the interceptions up against Cincinnati and even last week up against ECU. Does anything at this point, because we know how good Tyler is, does anything surprise you anymore with him?
No, not really. I mean, he puts in the work. He loves to play, and he plays for his teammates and does his job. He doesn't try to do too much, and the plays come to him. So, no, he's been a pleasure to be around for 3 years, and I'll be sorry to see him go after this year.
You've coached at the high school level, the collegiate level, the NFL, now back in the college ranks. Where does this game on Saturday rank in all those games?
Well, I've played in a lot of big games over the years, but this game to us, it's a big game because we're in it. The 2015 Temple Owls are playing in it, and that's how we approach every game. To me, you lose to UMass or lose to Notre Dame, it's still a loss, right? So every ball game is important, and I know to the outside world it's Notre Dame, and it's just as a kid, I used to watch Notre Dame highlights in California. We had 3 channels, and that's what I watched every Sunday morning. Era Parsegian, and so it is a big deal. But this game is just it's important because we're playing in it. So that's how we approach every game, and that's how we're approaching this game.
How have the players responded in practice this week? What's the feel in practice leading up to this game?
Good. You always worry about games like this because Notre Dame did not recruit one of our players. So, you always worry about, do they think they're good enough to play with Notre Dame? Those are always your concerns as a coach. But I think we're through that with this football team. We've played in a lot of big games together, and so, our focus is on ourselves and how we can execute and do what we do, and then let the chips fall where they fall.
Notre Dame, obviously, with their background, they recruit and all the history they have, the 4-star, the 5-star kids. And it seems like at Temple, going back to Muhammad Wilkerson and now with Tyler, they always find a way to get a player that isn't the most highly recruited, and they turn out to be a big star. And then eventually, in Muhammad's case, or hopefully in Tyler's case, they go on to play in the league on Sundays. How do you find a kid and develop a kid and get the best potential out of him, even necessarily when he wasn't a 4 or 5-star recruit kind of player?
Well, there's a lot of variables that go into a good player. I mean, there's football intelligence, there's instincts, there's work ethic. It's just not talent. Now, Notre Dame gets all the best talent, along with, probably 10 other schools. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great player. You're a great talent. So we try to find players that are athletic enough, but have all the other intangibles. They're tough. They love football. They stay in here till 10:30 every night studying video. They take care of their bodies. They sleep at night instead of partying. There's a lot of things that make a player. So, and they come in all different sizes and shapes. So there's enough kids out there. You just got to evaluate and find them and then develop them.
Everyone likes to talk about this front 7 of the Temple defense, and they have really done their job this year. What have you thought about the defensive backs so far this year?
Well, the DBs, I think this defense is really they're a group of 11. They know that one group can't play well and the other's not, or 2 groups play well and one not. They have to all play well together. So I think the secondary understands that, and really the secondary's job is to be able to run with the front is to win the game with, because you win up front. So we put together what we can do up front first, and then the secondary has to fill in that and be able to do what the front needs them to do. So I think they understand that, and they've done a great job with that in the last year and a half.
When you take a look at this Notre Dame team, they got off to very quick starts. As we're talking to Phil Snow, wrapping up with him on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show. They have 78 first-quarter points this year. Temple only has 30. How does your defense, what do they have to do to get off to a quick start? And I know Matt talks about it every week, that they just want the game to come down to the fourth quarter, and then he feels confident that your team will make enough plays. But how do you guys get off to a better start this week?
Well, we don't even, I don't even look at the game that way, a better start. What's important for the players to understand is they're going to have a game plan for us. It's a little bit different than the last opponents, right? So, but they're going to run the same plays in the fourth quarter that they do the first quarter. So they might have some early success, but as the game goes, if you learn, all right, and play one snap at a time and learn as the game goes, you're going to play better as the game goes. So that's what we preach. The game is 60 minutes. When you win it, doesn't matter. What matters is that you do win it. So, that's what we preach to the players. I don't even talk to them about slow starts.
Your defense produced a few turnovers last week, and the offense wasn't necessarily able to cash it in. Is that at all frustrating for your defense and for you as the defensive coordinator when your defense keeps on making big plays and the offense doesn't cash it in for 6?
No, not really. Not at all. This is we have a way that we're trying to win. If you look at our offense, they control time of possession. They run the football. We play great special teams and defense, and that's how we win. So, it's a 60-minute game. We're not worried about the first quarter. We're worried about 60 minutes. So, they're going to struggle at times just like we are. We have their back when they need it. They have our back when we need it. So, we're a team, and that's how we play.
Coach, last one, or before we let you go, I can listen to you talk all day. I feel like I'm watching an Al Pacino movie. When you speak, you just bring some great stuff to the broadcast and some really special perspective. But your defense, they're going up against this Notre Dame offense. What are the main points of emphasis going up against a team that puts up so many yards and so many points? And what are you going to preach to your guys from now leading up till Saturday at 8?
Well, there's a couple things that we talk about always. They can really run the football. They rush for 250 yards a game, and you can't allow them to do that. And that's not just Notre Dame. That's anybody that you play. They can't control the game of the run game, and now they have manageable third downs all day. So that'll be a big issue in the ball game. And then they have speed on the outside. I don't care who you are on defense. You can't give up big plays and play great defense. So if we can control the running game and not give up big plays, then we have a chance to win.
Coach, we appreciate it. Best of luck on Saturday. We'll be there broadcasting the game. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
There is the defensive coordinator for your Temple Owls, and that is Phil Snow on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by Peerless Boilers. Peerless builds America's best boilers. We'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. You'll listen to WHIP Radio in Philadelphia.